Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Footy Visionaries Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. Very happy, as you can see. Best club in the world. Come on, you know what it is. But anyway, let me just introduce the boys again. I've got one person who is not happy with his East Londoners team, and that is Rich. How are you doing, Rich?
I'm alright. Like I said, not happy. Still wearing it with pride though, the old Udi. So still supporting the team I love all my life. However, it's like a heartbreak, isn't it, at the moment? But there you go. We'll get onto that in a bit.
Fair play. We're going to get into that because I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
Mm.
And on the side, we've got Kush as well. He's happy with the win. We're in a comfortable position. As you can see, he's laid back, he's chilled, he's got no stress. He can actually go to sleep happy. Kush, how are you feeling, mate?
I'm feeling elated, bruv. It's been a great couple of weeks, I think. It was one of those things where United always normally are well performed against the big clubs. It's always the week after when they play like a smaller team is when they drop off, but they show personality and persevered. Two more wins.
Yeah, we need to get the United Strand his haircut, so fingers crossed he's going to do that. But yeah, let's just dive into it, lads. And there is no else to start than to go to the bold clarinet himself, Rich. I'm not going to say anything. You're just going to kick us off with this segment. Your Hammers, 2-1. That was a Friday night kickoff against Leeds. Lost. How are you feeling?
I don't know where to start. In all fairness, it's like we got rid of Potter. You could say he was good. You could say he was bad, but ultimately, you watch the games. He wasn't good enough. So we brought Nuno in, and he was meant to like enlighten us. Bring some stability to a team. And he showed that in his first game against Everton. And the team played really well. Yes, I get it's Everton, but under Moyes, they've been playing very well themselves. And he looked like he had structure, fought at the back. But then game on Monday against Brentford, he went for some ridiculous formation, playing four backs on the opposite sides, proving it didn't work. And he goes and does it again on Friday night against Leeds. And it was embarrassing. Like as soon as everyone saw the starting lineup, we're all like, "What's going on here?" Like, and playing Irvin and Souček in centre mid. Again, you might as well bring James Ward-Prowse back. And he's a top class manager, or he's maybe not top class, but he's a very good manager. But you're looking at his team selection, and you honestly just like, what are you doing? Do you not have a clue about what your squad you should be using? Like you've gone from Everton, good game, everyone's ticking. And now you've gone from 2 games on the bounce, not playing a striker. More players are in their original position, but the fullbacks are still not good enough. The centre backs aren't good enough. And as soon as the first goal went in the 3rd minute, honestly, my heart just sank. And I was like, oh, here we go again. I mean, Leeds came out the doors like a racing dog. They were gone. They came at us. They knew where to hurt us. I'm again conceding from a corner. And we just looked lackluster again. There's no energy, no fight. I don't know. I think my nan could do it, and she's had like 2 hip replacements. You know what I mean? It's just you look at the players, and most of them are. We got some good players, but then when you got like Wan-Bissaka, who's Mr. Reliable in my opinion, and Bowen, they're not even doing it this season. But we've got a lot of issues behind the closed doors. We're having another boycott. I think the Newcastle game as well, planning to hold like sort of protest again. It's just not a good time for us, really. We're not enjoying it. Hats off to Leeds, like they played really well first half. Second half, he changed the team up, brought some legs on. We more or less changed the game. It was just too little, too late. And I don't even know what to say anymore. It's hard because we are running towards relegation, in my opinion, and I don't see us slowing down at any point.
But Kush, would you blame the manager here, or you blame what was the management of the team itself, the hierarchy, because they've kind of thrown the team, given a part of the team as it is disjointed and all that. So Potter now has to cook up something, to actually make it work. So who's at fault here?
I think it ultimately comes down to the management of the club. I think the transfers that's been done, they haven't been good. You sold Declan Rice for 100 mil, but you actually haven't brought in any players to fill in that gap. As Rich said, your midfield is very open. And at the same time as well, you don't have a striker. That's one of your main problems. You have nothing going forward. And I feel with the club itself, with the team, I think they're just waiting for. It seems like they're just waiting to be relegated at this point. And It's more the fact that a lot of their stars, I think, are running out their contracts at the end of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like you got Paquetá leaving, but even he's not playing well, and I don't think he's been playing well for the past 2 seasons since he's done the almost got charged with the gambling stuff. But it's that whole club's in a shambles, and it's just a shame to see because West Ham have always been like a staple in the Premier League. Like ever since I've been growing up, West Ham have been their part bar one season. But it just seems like that team's just very mismanaged at the moment, and it's just clear to see on the pitch. And it's just a shame. It's just a lot needs to change, and I don't believe it's due to the manager, but I think the manager has to be able to do what he needs to do with the squad he has. He hasn't had the chance to go into a transfer window and maybe bring in someone that might suit his system. But again, will it make a difference? I don't think so.
Fair.
Nah.
And Rich, like, what do you think about Lucas Paquetá and the other stars? Like, obviously, he's misplacing a lot of passes. We talked about him earlier, actually doing this for the other goals earlier in the game. I forgot which game it was, but he did the same thing. So, is it time to say, listen, Paquetá's not working, or?
I've been I'm not raved about Paquetá for ages. The last 2 seasons, he's been, to me, shocking. The stuff he does, he give the ball away in stupid positions. Or I think the game against Chelsea, I think it was, he had a clear chance of passing the ball, but he gets tackled, throws his arms up in the air, and like he's a prima donna. And like he lost the ball, chase after it, and again, I might get hate for this, but West Ham fans seem to love him. I literally think he's a liability. Like, he doesn't bring anything to the team. I think his work rate isn't there. I think he's like, Ozil for Arsenal, like from Ozil, more class. He was just like going forward, decent, defending, terrible. We got a team where we're carrying too many players, and he's one of them. I would happy to see him get dropped.
Rich, do you think the reason he's not playing too well, particularly for these last 2 seasons, was that he was linked to that big move to City, and then that just all fell apart, and his head's just basically been turned, and now he doesn't care?
I think that it's a tricky one because, of course, a big club's coming in for him, but that's not happening anymore. Like his performance hasn't warranted a big club. He's got 2 years left on his contract. I mean, his buyout clause, we might get about 30 million for him. I just think he just doesn't care. I think even when he came from Lyon, he came from, and even then he was that sort of player. Like when you're winning, great player to have in your team. He's full of confidence. When you're losing, he's not that nitty gritty sort of player, and it doesn't help because we have no players like that. Everyone just struggles, and you just see as soon as we score, heads are down. It's shining lights play Somerville and Bowen, but even Bowen's head, like I love him to bits. He's not a leader. You see him, like you want someone gripping you by the collar. You might remember, like Roy Keane for you guys used to do.
Mark
Someone
Noble for
cocks
you.
up, yeah, grips him by the collar, sort your shit out. But Bowen's probably like, naughty boys sort of thing. We play crap today, sort of thing.
You
know
haven't
what I
had
mean?
you haven't had a proper leader since Noble and Rice.
And that's
Yeah.
our issue is we've had players last couple of seasons like Aaron Cresswell, Fabianski, who's back, even Mikel Antonio. We had about 3 or 4 players who were experienced. They knew how to get the best out of people, and they're like, let's pull our socks up, let's give them a good 2-foot challenge. Now everyone's like, oh, don't want to tackle you. And Kilman, he's another one. Like he's away with the fairies. You see him, it's like. You see him, he's like, oh, look, there's a pretty butterfly up there, and the ball's over there. You're like, oh yeah, I'm playing football, aren't I? It's just a clown. Yeah, but yeah, it's just not working. I think a few players need to be dropped, and I'm quite happy him bringing the youth in. Just London boys who are just happy to fight for a place over the current team we've got.
Do you think Nuno will kind of like change it in time to save the season though? Because look, he's a great manager. I mean, obviously he just came in. You have to give him the time to figure, not get results immediately, but figure out what his team is, what the formation can use with this team is, kind of. So do you think he'll be able to do that just in time to get enough points to actually save your season?
If he carries on doing what he did the last 2 games, no. But he did say he wanted to experiment. but you don't experiment against teams you could arguably beat. Like, you don't go to Leeds and go, oh, let's try this new formation out. You go, no, let's go for what we know and get some points here. You don't go, let's try playing left back at right back and right back at left back. You just don't do it. You don't experiment in them sort of games, especially when we're in the battle where we are. You just have to go back to basics.
I would
route
say
one
the
football.
I would say in these types of games they're the best time to experiment, because you don't want to do that against a big club, because if you did that against a big club, they will punish you. I think even though Leeds have been promoted, I think these were the perfect times to experiment. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but it allowed him to gauge his squad a bit better in a different formation that might suit his style of play.
I disagree. Maybe for a mid-table club, mid-table team at the moment, but someone who's in a relegation battle who you ideally need to win, and you go experiment like that, I don't think you can do it. Maybe if we were playing someone like, if maybe Crystal Palace again or Newcastle, you could probably argue try out, but not when you're against Leeds, where you think they should be down here with us battling. I just think it was a wrong idea, and he just looked dumbfounded on the side of the pitch. He just looked like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
So essentially,
Which is
this
an
point
issue.
is about collecting the points, isn't it? Like in this kind of
Yeah.
game, I feel you. But let's give some love to Leeds here. They've had a decent
Yeah.
start. Decent win against, even though it's poor West Ham side, still a good win. Joe Rodon, he was in my FPL, so thank you, Joe, for those 15 points. They were fantastic. What's going on with Leeds? Like, Leeds look like a solid team at the moment, intermittently.
with Leeds, I would say fair play to Daniel Farke, because if you saw it, the way the media were talking about it when they were coming into the season, they were saying, "Are they going to bring him out if he doesn't hit the ground running?" And to be fair, they have started off quite well for a promoted side, and the team seems to have bought into his play, because they're basically the same squad that he's had from the Championship. They play well. They're doing a high pressing football, and it's very attractive to see. And I think that's what's caused West Ham a lot of problems in that game, because they were very high pressing, and West Ham didn't know what to do about it. And eventually, it led to the 2 goals that ultimately got Leeds the win.
Fair play. All right. We're done with that one. Let's give Rich some time to cool off, because I can see the steam coming out of his head at the moment. Moving on to the next game of the weekend. I think we actually heard about the first one, and that was Chelsea and Sunderland. Let's start with Chelsea. Absolutely horrendous. Especially the defending, that was quite terrible. Rich, what do you think about this current Chelsea squad? They seem to be quite inconsistent at the moment. They can't string some wins together and all that.
Again, they just seem to be going through a continuous experimental stage. And again, I don't think the manager knows his best 11. I think I said last week, he's still tinkering. He's got Cole Palmer out, and I think he's a big loss. But you still got the same core players there. I think he starts maybe the same 5 or 6 players, sorry. And they just seem to come unstuck. It's almost like they have a big ego, because whether the prices they're coming for, their wages, they just seem to be like they should be able to walk on a pitch, kick the ball around, and have it all their way. And I just don't think it's working. And I think they will be up there. I think they'll still finish top 6. I just don't think they have the experience and the know-how of actually how to handle games like when they played against Sunderland. And to top it off, and to show under that arrogance, you had Garnacho, your favourite guy coming from Man U, scored the goal and act like he just won the FA Cup final. Yes, you scored your first goal for a club. I get that. But the way he reacted, he was almost like, yes, I'm a big deal now. And this sort of, that's the arrogance I'm talking about. I think a lot of their players have that arrogance.
But who's to blame here, coach? Because do you think Maresca should do better? Or do you think it's the board who's kind of like overcooked the mix here, because they've just kind of flooded him with players? Now Maresca has to kind of try to set out his vision with this ragtag bunch of a lot of players. He has a lot of players. It's hard to get like a squad cohesion and to kind of put your vision through when you've got that many players, maybe, surely.
With Chelsea, like in terms of their squad, they have probably the youngest squad in the Premier League at the moment, with the amount of youngsters they've got. So I think with that, they would have inconsistency, but you wouldn't expect that much inconsistency from them. As I said last week, when it came to this game, I said it depends on what Chelsea you're going to get because they're so hit and miss at the moment. So, and it's unfortunate, but this week you saw a Chelsea that were easy to break down in terms of Xhaka would just step into the midfield and he was able to run the ball up without any hesitation or any challenge to him. And you can't take away from Sunderland. Sunderland have had a great start to the season, and that's the reason that they're third or fourth. I mean, you can't take it away from them. They have been the better team. I feel with Maresca, he's just got too many players to deal with, and he has too many options, and that's very dangerous for a manager. Because who do you start? It's good to have options, but I think they've just NFL'd that team where they have so many players and so many positions. And it's just like you look at a team sheet, you're thinking, "Oh crap! How do I pick my squad?" Because he's probably changed his centre back pairings possibly every game. His attackers, he's got so many wingers. It's just he must be thinking, he must be stressing himself out every week. I think he should have bit of balls to say to the board, like, please stop buying me players. I've got too many, or just sell some. Because I think that's what Chelsea are trying to do, just long out every contract and then sell them off in the future for a high amount. But it's very detrimental to the squad. It makes it look like Chelsea don't care about winning. They just care about making money.
That's the thing. Kind of feels like a commercial club when I look at it, because I don't think they even go with the vision of the manager himself. The manager says any players in this position, they just load it. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like, if you've got Garnacho on one side, Neto on the one side, these are wingers who like are goal threats. You know what I mean? They rarely kind of create. They want to score themselves, like you're saying, which like they'll just look, cut and shoot and whatever, which is the problem we had with Garnacho at United now and all that. So it just feels like Maresca now has this squad of many players who he can't really get his message across to. And you were saying it's very young, there's not that much experience. But I'm also kind of disappointed with their central midfield pairing, who have been decent, to be fair. But it seemed like they couldn't be bothered. Like, they couldn't be bothered to chase down. Like you're saying, Xhaka should not have the freedom at that age to run through a Chelsea midfield with a decent central pairing. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing. And the second thing as well I'm thinking is that last goal. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but that was horrendous. Like, it was
great take. Great take.
Don't get me wrong. Sunderland, fantastic. But then, literally, the ball was hoofed, right? I think Tosin is I forgot who was holding it up. Tosin was on the striker. Right? And it was, I think it was 7 seconds. He had the ball in the box, holding off Tosin. It was Tosin and Chalobah there. So Tosin, fair and fine. He's being held off. I can say, you're getting held off. You're trying to contest. Chalobah did nothing in those 6 seconds to come and help him out. Literally, until the other guys arrived, he passed it. It's a goal. Like, that's just shambles. And the central midfield was also, like, way up there as well. So it's just, do we see a way out here for Chelsea? Like, what's going to change for Chelsea, Rich, to get them out of this?
It's hard. I think ultimately they would do, but it may lead you into question really as well, to counteract your question. It's like, is this the issue you get with American ownership as well? Like you said, like Chris said, that NFL sort of draft team sort of style. Does it fit in the Premier League? Yes, I know Americans have lots of money, but it doesn't. I don't think it works with what we have. You guys might disagree, but currently, while they have that sort of style, sort of that, what's the word, structure, to push forward, it's not going to work for a team like Chelsea, because as a player, we're only amateurs. We just play on a Saturday or midweek. As a player, you want to feel special. You want to feel loved by a club. You don't want to feel like a number. And while they're having such a big squad and the structure they are, the players aren't going to feel grateful. Yes, their pockets are lined with cash. They're spending it on cars. They're spending it on whatever they think. But ultimately, it's the life is good, but the work isn't, essentially. So work-life balance is terrible because of the way it's being run. And I don't think it's going to get better unless they have a clear out or their policies change.
Can we just give props to like Regis Lebris at the moment with his Sunderland squad. He compared to last season with his Sunderland squad, he had massive changes where he was given loads of new players, and he somehow made it work. And he's done a phenomenal job with that. I think he has really managed that squad well, and it seems that all their players are loving their football at the moment, and it's just so refreshing to see.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, first of all, where they're at the league at the moment, fantastic. Just showed like a proper, good tactical play from Sunderland as well. Like they adapt to every game they actually play. So it's never actually the same system. They're quite fluid. And to be fair, for a team that's coming up to be that fluid in the Premier League, I have to give them the props for it as well. And like I said, special shout out to Shaka because Shaka got the better deal. Because I remember one time we didn't know if it was going to be Henderson going back to Sunderland or Shaka, but Shaka went to Sunderland and he's been fantastic, honestly. So credit to Shaka and all that. And Rich, how far do you see Sunderland going in the league? I mean, it's early days. They're fourth at the moment. Do you think they can kind of maintain it the whole season or they're going to burn out at some point?
So my mate's a big Sunderland fan, and I watched them because of that. Went to a few of their games last season at the Stadium of Light. The biggest issue they had the last couple of seasons is they would skyrocket at the start of the season, get to a good points level, and then start plateauing and then coming off. But then again, that's the old squad they have. So that was different managers, but it still always seemed to happen. So whether they can change that mentality, I think it's hard to do. I mean, I think they'll probably get to a safe number and probably go, you know what, we're staying up now. The intensity will stay there, but they want to stay up this season, not get relegated. And I think once they achieve that, they only have to win 7 more games, and they've probably achieved that tally already. It'd be interesting, but ultimately, I think no. After Christmas, I think you will see Sunderland starting to plateau and tally off, and it'll be interesting to see how the Teesside derby goes as well. And I get Newcastle in a couple of weeks' time.
That's going to be a match I'm looking forward to. That's going to be box office. Moving on to the next match, we need to talk about Newcastle and Fulham. Quite an intensely fought, watch bullet game. When I was checking it out, Newcastle with the last minute win. But to be fair, I think the scoreline slightly flatters Fulham a little bit. I think Newcastle had more chances to bury that. And yeah, I mean Newcastle seem to have gotten that stride back. Chris, what do you think Newcastle's aim for the season is going to be now? Do you think they can actually find some consistency now? Because earlier they were struggling, especially with goals. They still seem to be struggling with goals, even though they bought from out, I actually like, to be fair.
I think with Newcastle's aspirations should be trying to get to the European spots. I think they've got the ownership now to push that, and they have been pushing that for the last, I think, two seasons since they've had them, or 3 seasons. I'm not too sure. They should be trying that, but I think at this point, because they're just very inconsistent at the moment, I think they need to aim to get into that top half. And really in January look at a striker's situation, because even though Walter Maida is doing his job and getting the goals, they need a backup striker, because when they had Isak, they had a backup in Callum Wilson, and they don't actually have that at the moment. And it's going to be very difficult if, say, Walter Maida gets injured. Who would they play? It'll be back to square one again. And they're already struggling for goals as it is. Do they? I feel with Newcastle, they're having a massive fall off this season. They're not playing the way Newcastle normally play. When I see that, if Man U were playing Newcastle, I would have thought, oh, this is going to be a hard game. It's still going to be a hard game, but I don't expect them to be like an attacking threat, if you get what I mean. More defensively solid.
But Rich, is it as simple as saying that it's Isak leaving that's caused this? Or is there a bit more to it?
Well, as I said last week when we were chatting about the heartbreak situation, I think it still impacts the club, but ultimately they've had the history now the last couple of seasons of starting off fairly slow, especially now this is the second season Champions League football, I think it is now. I still think they have a balancing act to do. I also think that the players haven't found the form they were. You think Anthony's not firing, Harvey Barnes isn't firing, Murphy isn't firing. And I just think they're just lacking that spark, I would say. You know what it's like? It could be burnout, for all we know. you high pressing team, that intensity, players get burnt out. It could be that. I just think you'll see Newcastle get better. Give them maybe after next international break. I think you'll start seeing Newcastle get the best they can. But you've also got Wissa, who's still is injured, who's still yet to come back. So that could be the striker issue resolved. They probably just need a bit more, maybe another midfielder, just to help out a bit more, to have to give that challenge, I would say, to some of the players. Maybe they're getting too comfortable as well.
Do you think Eddie Howe's still the guy to lead that club? Or is he going into like a Mark Hughes type of role with like City, where he is there for a period just to stabilize the ship and then they get a bigger manager?
I don't know, actually. It'd be interesting to get Josh's opinion on that as well. I think he's still the man for the job, but it just all depends on, again, what he can spend and what he can do with the club. But what do you think, Josh?
I think he's more than the Mark Hughes thing. I think with Mark Hughes, there was also a lot more in play, because with City at that time, they were trying to become a global icon, so they were trying to attract everyone who is, who's gonna kind of get them there name wise and potential wise, i.e., touching succeed and all that. So I think Mark Hughes was just at that certain level, like where he had capped. With Eddie Howe, I don't think. I think he has more potential than Mark Hughes to be a better manager, because he's proven it with this Newcastle squad. He keeps them up there every single season. So I think he is definitely a higher caliber than what Mark Hughes was. But I think that's now the next challenge. That's what Newcastle have to kind of do to themselves and kind of think, okay, what do we do here? Do we give Eddie Howe what he wants so that he has to choose to succeed, or do we find another manager? This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the season, where now it's a bit more of like, we want to attract certain players. I mean, this season, to be honest, the players that went for rejected them. And now I'm thinking as well is, Eddie Howe is a great manager, but then
He doesn't have the ball.
to attract those players, do you want like, a higher name caliber manager who can then attract those players, who can then bring in a better style of play? You know what I mean? Because now we've reached a level where like Newcastle are set, they're always going to be top 4 contenders or European contenders and all that. So reach that stage now. I think Newcastle out there, obviously they don't have enough to push on into a league title thing, but they're definitely going to be in Europe almost every season now. So now is the thing of, do they get a new manager, take them the further step or not? I don't know. I think one thing for me that'd be interesting, if they bring Antonio Conte to Newcastle, I think that'd be fantastic. But it's something like that, you know what I mean? Bring someone box office. Antonio Conte, well known, fantastic. He can actually win titles. So
style of play though will be a lot different, and I don't think the Newcastle fans would be happy about that at all. Going from a active play to very defensive and counter-attacking, I don't know. I don't think they accept that.
I just don't think Eddie Howe has the pull to bring in the players that Newcastle, with their like new status of like a oil club, needs, if you got what I mean. You wouldn't see a big name. There's a reason why the big names didn't want to go to them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Moving on to my favorite game of the weekend, Manchester United and Brighton 4-2. Kush, I'll just let you kick off with this one, with whatever you want to say. Then we'll jump in from there.
It's been a great time. It's been a great time to be a Man United fan at the moment. We've in the past 3 games we've shown. I don't know if you agree with me. I feel like something's clicked with that squad in terms of like, we're not giving up a game. If you saw us last season, if we conceded a goal, our heads would immediately drop and it would just be like, oh, not again. Initially, after that first Sunderland game, after they scored, I was like, oh, no, not again. And again, with the Liverpool one, I was like, oh, no, not again. But with the Brighton one, it just felt different. We were, fair enough, we were winning 3-0. Third goal was a bit iffy. It maybe was a foul, maybe wasn't. In the end, it was given. Tactically wise, I think he got it right to a point. I think he was I think he got too excited in bringing off his midfielders and the players that were doing bits, and it actually showed when we conceded 2 goals. But in the end, you can't take away from the fact that we had a very good game. De Ligt has been great. it's just he's been very good at leading the back. I think if Bruno were ever to go, I would honestly think about making him captain because he's just barking orders all the time. Senna Lamins, he's just been a revelation for this squad. It's just amazing to see how a whole team changes when you have someone steady in the back
He has
and just
changed our lives. He has changed our lives.
is anchoring that whole team. Our attack is finally clicking. Yeah, even though Sesko hasn't scored as much, he's linking the play between Cunha and Mbeumo a lot. And even though Josh prefers Bruno in the 10, I'm enjoying seeing Cunha and Mbeumo in that spot because you're seeing Cunha just running at them and just relentless, and then you have Mbeumo who's just clinical. And then Sesko, he will score goals. I think he's still has to get used to the league, and he's still very young. Overall, I'm just surprised that when we finished that game we were in the top 4, but now we're top 6. It's just it feels like I'm on cloud 9 at the moment.
It does, honestly. And if I'm being honest, I think a lot of things have kind of happened to put us in this place we are. I think the first thing, which actually people were speaking about, which I'd forgotten about, I remember it was a couple of weeks ago, like some weeks ago. I don't usually give props to the Man United leadership hierarchy and all that. But Sir Jim Ratcliffe came out and said, no, Amorim, he's my manager. He's going to stay here for at least 3 years. He needs 3 years to do whatever he needs to do and whatever, right? I think psychologically that got to the players like, wow, we can't down tools now because this guy is going to be here no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So either we play or we don't. I think that was the first kind of thing clicking into place. The players are like, this guy won't get fired, so we might as well just, kick on. I'm not saying they were not trying before, but it kind of like sets that tone of, well, this is the man we have to lead us, so we kind of have to do it. Same thing like you're saying, Coach, having a keeper has changed our lives. It has absolutely changed a lot. Like Old Trafford celebrates when he claims a cross and all that, and it's actually fantastic.
It's just shocking to, even though I'm loving it, it's just shocking to think that we are getting happy about a keeper catching a cross when it's a fundamental, and it's just I don't know what to say. I think it's a fundamental. You command your box, and we've had the two keepers we've had haven't. Like Onana has been just a very big liability. He makes so many mistakes, and Altai is very weak. And then when you have Senna Lamins, who's able to catch a ball. It's very nice. It's like a new bright sun, like a sunshine in the day.
Literally, I remember, if you remember, I don't know if you guys both remember as well, there was that ball which came in from the right-hand side, coming in towards the far post. And if you put them side by side with Onana, literally in the same kind of situation, Onana just washed the ball and he went in. Lamens was watching the ball and almost crept in. He made a save, and then he kind of like did his dog to make sure that we got a goal kick, even though he made the save. So those small subtle differences make a huge difference. Whereas in that goal would have gone if it was Onana, because he has literally had to fight the same thing. So I think a lot of things have clicked on, and Cunha and Bremo, fantastic. And I think they are the exact profile of player that Amorim wanted for those specific roles. Because if the game is narrow, they can play narrow because they can play like 10s. But if the game is wide, like this game, they can come in as wingers as well. And Rich, what do you think about Bremo? I think, so for me personally, I think he's actually got a huge shout out to be the player of the season. I mean, the signing of the summer.
Signing season. Well, yes. I sort of, put my foot in my mouth at the start of the season because the 70 million price tag I paid for him, I thought was ridiculous. I get he was double figures for Brentford, but I just didn't think he was worth that money, especially when you look at previous what 70 million gets you. Yeah, and I think he's proven to be a great player. What he's doing for you is fantastic. Signing the season or transfers the season still yet to be seen. However, because there's still a long way to go, but currently I think he's probably the most in form, especially even through your bad times, he was still going for it. He still made you look dangerous. So yeah, I'd probably say at the moment he is, but we've still got a long way to go. And the thing I find interesting about yous is what changed after the Brentford game. Do you think? Because you lost 3-1 to Brentford, and they were comfortably winners of you. since then, again, it could be, you said, the chairman coming out and saying he's our guy, but something in that game, from that game, it just changed your mentality, the way you're playing, and some of the movements for your goals this week as well. Like Sesko for I think it was Mbeumo's first goal, the little up on the inside through ball to him, and then Bruno Fernandes just leaving that ball, just sort of let it like glide past him for Mbeumo to get upon it again. That is just, it was just slick. It was suave. It was sick. But yeah, I think it's me. You're right. At the moment, he is, but I still like to understand what's changed with your team and whether you can still carry that on. But I still think defensively you do have issues. The 2 goals they scored against you, Danny Welbeck, great free kick. Still think it was probably shouldn't have gone in very close to the keeper personally. And then the second goal was from the corner. The player just ran in, Xerxes, whatever his name is, just literally wasn't even watching him. Just let him run in front of him and flicked it in. I still think you're out trying to outscore the other team at the moment, but you do look a lot better.
Yeah, I think answering your question about what changed, I've got the comments he said after the Brentford game. He said, when we win, it's not the system. When we lose, it's a system. I understand that, being sarcastic. But he said, it's more that we play this game the way Brentford wants to play it. And this whole time, he's been hammering to the players that even after this game, he's like, the reason we won this game was every player was wanting it. You have every single minute of that game, you have to want that game. And I think he wants to get that across as well to his players. Like, let's fight for every game. In every game, we're just gonna fight it. Even now, like, we're fighting for the second balls and all that. So I think that's one thing that's clicked. Number 2, he also said that the fact that we are not in Europe is actually helping, because I think now we have more grass time, more training time. So now it's getting to this place. You can see even like Luke Shaw, the lead, like Chris was saying, the patterns of play, the passes it's more silky now. It's almost natural. There's still certain things we have to work on. Like, I don't think Dalot should be playing as left wing back and all that. And Ahmad is perfect on the right wing back. So I think maybe Dogu should starting more. Maybe Malacia will start there. Maybe when Lisandro Martinez and Luke Shaw will go to left wing back, and it'd be perfect. Because now what I've noticed is we don't have that natural drive to go for. So on the right wing, it's perfect because Ahmad is he knows when to go forward. You know what I mean? On the left back there, we're a little bit lacking. So maybe that's where we're on the left wing back. But things have clicked. And Kush, now that we are in this position, what is our limit? Because for me personally, I'm saying let's keep it one game at a time. I'm not thinking about top 4, whatever. So for me, I'm happy with one game at a time. But what do you think?
I think our goal for the season is just to get back into Europe, not the Conference League, because I don't think United should be in the Conference League. It might be a bias from me being with the United status, even though we haven't been playing well for a long time. We should still try go for the European spots, but Europa League or Champions League. That's our goal, and we have to take it game by game because, again, we're very inconsistent. We might have won 3 games in a row, but it's just momentum, and momentum can like that will just go if you lose a game or draw a game. So I think that's our aim. And as you said, with United, you are seeing relationships like blossom. Ahmad and Mbeumo are playing really well together. They seem to be enjoying playing together. It's just finding that left wing back role now. As per the goal, Brighton's first goal, I think they were very lucky to get that free kick, because if you actually watch that, it's not even Dorgu wasn't even fouling him. It was just like a mix up in the legs, and that's what caused Minte to fall over. And he got a yellow card for it. I'm not too sure why he got a yellow card for it, but it is what it is. I agree the goalkeeper should have saved it, and I'd agree with the second goal. I think Xerxes should have been more aware of his surroundings. Overall, we have a lot of potential this season. Let's just see how it goes, because you never know what's going to happen with United.
Fair play. I mean, I'm going to defend Lammers there. That ball was placed just under the bar there, and obviously to try dive for it and catch it, Maybe he's just showing his inexperience, but I feel like that was a well-placed free kick. But yeah, that's
quickly, there's just been some breaking news as well. Brendan Rodgers has actually resigned from Celtic.
has
Was
he?
he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just
Should
resigned
be-
from Celtic.
They
To
lost
be
to
fair,
the Hearts
Hearts
3-1,
are
didn't they?
leading, isn't it? Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah,
Hearts are doing the bits.
it's the fans at Celtic believe it's not even due to the managers, due to the board not being what's the word? They don't want more. They're happy to win the Scottish League and not anything else.
Ambitious.
There's no ambition at all.
Fair
But
play.
that's another good manager.
You never know. Wolves could be on the.
I was literally thinking about Wolves, but we'll go to my apparent beloved Wolves later. But yeah, I mean, Brendan Rodgers is on the market now. Moving on, and we're going to talk about Scouser tears now because Brentford have beat Liverpool 3-2. It's 4 consecutive losses in the Premier League for Liverpool. 5 losses in the last 6 or something like that, I believe. Rich, what's going on at Liverpool at the moment?
Again, I think they're just again ego, arrogance. You saw some there. I don't know if you guys saw the game, but saw some of the highlights, and there's just no drive again. They lose the ball, and they're just like, oh, we have to track back. Are you being serious? Sort of thing. It's a bit more of an attitude again. I do think they're struggling with like finding the best 11, which never helps at all. But there's something. I think you guys said it last week. It's that it was a clock team they won it with, and now it's a slot team. And his comments that he brings out after games doesn't help. I get he's got to try and like deflect away from his teams, but it'd be interesting to know what he's like behind closed doors. If he's acting like that in front of the media, what's he saying to them behind doors? Is he really inspiring? Has he freaked his level? I'm not sure. It's just he's got a lot of players to pick from, and I just don't think he knows how to handle them at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think on this one, I'm gonna have to put it squarely on Slot. Granted, yeah. So let's say last season was a club team. I think this season is his team, but there's certain things that he has to do as a manager as well. I think the first thing is he's trying to force things initially. Like you've got a great player, Hugo Ekitike, who started off the season in red hot form. There's no need to just put him to the side now and then start forcing Isak into the team. Now he's injured, but he was doing that for the last few matches as well. There was no need. Why don't you bleed in Isak? Because Isak didn't have, a proper the start of the season. And now obviously things have changed because before this, Liverpool really didn't have that striker, that selfish, egotistical striker. You know what I mean? So it allowed people like Diaz and Salah to go beyond the striker to actually try to create the goals. Now they've got a striker who wants the goals, who's always in that as well, and they're just not gelling. Vert's still adjusting the league, but it's taking a bit of time as well. So he's not making up the play. Is it time to drop him now? Who knows? And I'm actually disappointed in Van Dijk and Konate, but especially Van Dijk, because A, his defending has not been that great and all that. He's not getting found a lot more. But B, I've seen him shouting at Kirkers now a lot. And I just feel sorry for Kirkers because any small thing, Van Dijk is literally looking at very annoyed at Kirkers. But he's supposed to be a leader. This is a new player, a very young player. Like, encourage him, and everything going on there. But Kush, what do you think Slot should do to kind of improve this? Like, is it down to Slot? But I think it is, but is it just
Yeah,
down
it
to
is.
the players?
It is down to Slot. There's no two ways about it. He wanted these players. He got these players. They spent 480 million this summer on these players. So you're talking about how Wirtz needs to adapt to the league. With a price tag of 120 million, you need to hit the ground running, or you're going to get all these memes of 007 Ben 10s and all that. Surely he got 2 assists, but he hasn't actually done anything. He got 2 assists against the German team, so he still hasn't done anything outside of Germany. So it's just one of those. I agree. I don't understand why they bought Isak and trying to force Ekatike and him together. I think if I was Slot, I would drop Isak and continue playing Ekatike because Ekatike is the one that's creating you more chances. The only player I can see doing and creating chances is Gakpo. Even though most people don't rate him as much, he is the one that's creating the chances. He's cutting in, he's trying to shoot the ball. But if you look at the whole squad, it's very flat. It's super flat. As you said, they don't have any drive to do anything. They've got this like royalty complex of why do we need to track back? We're the mighty Liverpool. It doesn't really work like that. I think you as a club, I think Slot needs to stop paying quote unquote slut ball where he ships so many goals at the moment. And just grab everyone by the scruff of the neck and say, look, we need to play more like in unison, because it seems like with Liverpool, everyone's playing for themselves, if you get what I mean. Like Salah's not getting what he needs. He gets dropped and he throws a strop, isn't it? And then you can't drop Van Dijk because who's going to replace Van Dijk? Joe Gomez? No. And Kirkish, you do have to feel for him, but you've knowingly gone to a big club. You know that the what's expected of you. You need to know what's coming, and it seems that he's drowning out there, and there's no support.
I would actually defend Kirkers a little bit here because I've noticed. Remember, I don't know if you remember Kirsch and Ridge as well, but there was a time in United under Ten Hag where like Bruno were playing this exact same formation, and what Ten Hag was telling Bruno to do was like go up, like be close to the center forward, whatever, and that created a lot of space in the middle, and then the central midfield is being overrun and all that. It's the same thing happened to Liverpool, in my opinion. Like you see, there's so much space in that middle, like there's a disconnect between Verts and the thing, and where Kirkers gets the ball sometimes, he literally doesn't know what to do, like, and all that. So I feel for him, but you're right. He should hit the ground running. But Rich, do you think Slot actually has the guts to pull inside the big personalities? Because now he has big personalities, right? You have Van Dijk, who's a big personality. You've got Salah, who's a big personality. Remember what happened?
Can I quickly say something before Rich says something? Slot has never worked with big personalities, so he's not. I don't think he can do it. He managed, what's it called, Feyenoord before, and he had no big personalities. It's like Ten Hag when he came to United. He managed Ajax before, and then he's never worked with big personalities, and you're seeing that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think...
No, that goes along the lines of my question. So now, like, do we think that's also like a huge factor? And do you think Slot will actually be able to pull people aside, like Salah said, listen, you're not playing well. I'm going to drop you for a bit. Let me play Chiesa on one side, maybe Gakpo on the one side, so that at least we can actually try to get some fluidity here, and I'll put you in the team once you start playing well. Like, do you think he can do that? Because I don't, and no. That might be difficult.
I think he sees Salah as undroppable. Like, I think the Liverpool fans would be very shocked if he got dropped, even though they're probably thinking to themselves, he's not playing well. He's still that guy who can win a game for you. Okay, not at the moment. You know, I get that, but I think Salah is undroppable, and I think Klopp knows that. And I think his hands could be tied regarding some of the changes that he can make to that club. There's like Chris said, Wirtz, he's whatever his price, 140 million, whatever it was, he has to play him. Like, he has to go, right, I wanted this guy. I have to prove that my methods are working. So it would be like, no, he's going to stick with it. He's just going to keep playing and playing until eventually works. Like you said, he's going to force it. Regarding the players, I think he could easily go to a player, you're not playing very well today, but whether the player listens is completely different. It's that respect level, isn't it? If you don't respect him, it's going to be hard. And, a lot of the players haven't got long left in their contracts either. I know about 2 or 3 of them. I know like Van Dijk just signed 2 years, so Salah. But even then, they're probably thinking, one out of the door now. I got what I wanted. Maybe, last season and see what I can get now. I think he's in the slots in a tricky space at the moment, and I don't know how he's gonna, or he doesn't know how to get out of it yet.
Yeah, that's true. But I
I
think
think
we'll also do a
one of
huge.
the
Yeah, go ahead, Kush.
sorry, I think one of the worst like business or transfer decisions they did was letting Luis Diaz go, because he was the one that was pressing into the defense a lot last season and causing a lot of problems on defenses, making them have mistakes. And you're looking at Liverpool now, and they don't have anyone doing that, and they're just, I hate to say it, but their attack's looking kind of average. They're not creating as much. They're just, yeah, just average.
Would you say they're
I
going
don't
for a bit
really
of a
say.
transition?
You not really, because they brought in a striker, fair enough, but you still have Salah, who's been there ages. You've had Gakpo, who's been there for 2 years. Who else? Who else is in their attack?
But
Verts,
you got to think of
potentially.
it. They've never had.
Gakpo.
They've not had a striker for years, have they? Also, and playing that how Verts plays, they've not had a player like that in years either. I get McAllister, but he was more back to front. They never had a proper cam there and a proper striker. And to get used to that sort of mentality where the wingers can't cut it as much as they used to, it is a change of like style for them to go, oh,
Could you say Thiago was something similar to Words?
he was always injured though, wasn't he? And he was more of a deep, he was more of a 6, I would say. More of a,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
8 or
not even
6,
that
where
as well. Like
Verts is more
it
of
was
a,
the formation. It was the formation
mm,
because, like Rich is saying, it was a 4-3-3 formation versus a 4-2-3-1. So even though Thiago might be similar to Verts in certain ways, he still had to play in a central midfield position. And then the striker will be the one who occupies that 10 space, allowing Salah and Diaz to actually get into the box a lot more, which is why Salah would always
yeah.
create more. But now, like I said, you now have someone occupying that space already. So I think Salah just suffocated off space in the box to actually do his thing, which is making a difference. Versus now, I think before, in the Liverpool system, you needed strikers, not strikers, sorry, like your wingers, you needed them to go in the box and score. But now you need them to feed the striker more. And this is why, I don't even know why he doesn't play Chiesa more. Because listen, you're losing, you're not scoring. Why not throw him on for one full game and see how it goes? Because he is a winger, I think, who actually likes creating as well.
It's his
But
knees, I think.
maybe. But I think we'll also do like a huge disservice here if we do not praise Brentford for how they've gone around the whole season, but even how they beat Liverpool as well. And just, I want to ask you guys something here before we get into Brentford. What do you people think about the long throw phenomenon which is going on in the Premier League at the moment, Rich?
I love it. I'm a big believer history always repeats itself. And won't be long till we see the 4-4-2 back in there, and it would be water bottles being kicked, umbrellas out again. I love it personally. Nostalgia. I just think it, it's not very creative, but it's effective. Like set pieces now are a massive key tactic in our game, and that's just another one. I don't know how effective it is now, but it's working. It's working to a certain extent. I think when it was like Rory Delap era back in Stoke, I think people used to be scared. Now people are, but they handle it a bit better. But I enjoy it. I personally enjoy it, especially when they cock it up. That's they can't get past the first man. It just makes me laugh.
Fair, but Kush, Brentford, Igor Thiago scored again. They look like a solid unit. Like I said, this is despite losing Bremo. They lost Wisa, they lost their manager, but here they are still getting the results. So credit to them
They
for
lost their
durability.
captain.
And they lost the captain too. So credit to them.
Credit to Brentford. I think everyone assumed that because they've lost so much this summer, that they would just be deflated and just fall off a cliff. But credit to that manager. He's holding down the fort really well. And they even though that their recruitment hasn't been too well, it's paying off. Like Igor Thiago, I hold my hands up as well. I said it in one of the episodes. I didn't really think he would do much. It's doing amazing, mate. I think you can't. It's just they're just doing really well. I think credit to them. They They don't look scared going against the big teams or any team. They take it to them every single time, and yeah, I think they're doing really well.
Fair play. All right, we're gonna do this one quite quickly, but we've moved towards the South Coast now. We're gonna go Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Dash Ball is back in the Premier League, but it couldn't make a difference as Bournemouth ran away with that one, 2-0. Rich, Bournemouth are just doing the things. And Tavernier, what did you see the goal he scored off the corner? Well, fantastic goal. Maybe South could have done better. Do you think South could have done better on that?
I don't know what he was doing. He's just hanging from the goal, from the crossbar. I just saw him. I was like, "What's he doing there?" It's one of the anomalies, isn't it? I think it happens to every keeper. I've been lobbed a few times whenever I've played in from like halfway line or never from a corner. I just think it's one of the things that happens to us all, especially with the wind. The wind would just take it, and then as a keeper, you just have to go, I'm not getting that, and do your best. So I don't think a keeper could do more. I just think it's one of them games where it happens, personally.
Fair play. And Kush, Bournemouth, they don't look like stopping. We talked about it last week. They don't look like they're stopping in champs team. They're just going from strength to strength. I bet it's a Forest side in turmoil, but hey, listen, 3 points is 3 points. And I believe at the moment they are second. Yes, they're second.
Yeah, I think with Bournemouth, they've been very good this season. I think they've kept their core group of players from last season, bar their defense, but they just looked very solid. But if you look at Forest as well, they didn't look like they were going to create any chances, even with Sean Dyche in charge. They just looked very flat, and even though they won midweek against in the Europa League, they still didn't look convincing today. It was just more just same old Forest, isn't it? But it doesn't take away from the fact that Bournemouth did really well. I think Eli Krupi, he's in great form he's very good form. And I think he was a former Nottingham Forest player, if I'm correct. I might be wrong. Who knows? Sure. I have to fact check. But they're looking solid, and I think that's really down to the manager. The manager's got them ticking, and they've bought into the ideas of the manager. And this has not been something that's been going on for maybe one season. This has been going on for like 2 seasons. And with Adoni Iraola, when he started, people doubted him, and he didn't start off the greatest, and people wanted him out. But now everyone's laughing. They're saying that they're one of the most attractive clubs to watch. Overall, Bournemouth are a very dangerous club to play at. They've got the confidence, they've got their tails up, and I personally am scared to play them.
Say less. And Rich, do you believe that Forest can kind of pull themselves out here? I mean, they've got Sean Dyche, who's a defensive masterclass, obviously. So, do you think Nottingham Forest will kind of like pull themselves together? Do you think they're just gonna play like very solid, almost boring but effective football now? Like, what's gonna happen for us? What direction are they gonna go in?
I personally think it'd be okay. Now Sean Dyche is in here again, stable the defense a bit. I think they look a bit better defensively. Unfortunate to lose, I get that. But again, you got too many players there to go down. I say that, like I said, West Ham went down back in 2003 when our lineup was Defoe, Lampard, Mike Carrick and all that. We still went down. So it's hard to. I think they'll stay up, but you can't use a term too good to go down anymore. But I do think they'll be safe. I think there'll be more teams dragged into it as we go along, as we're seeing. I still think Burnley will still be a threat to go down, and I think we could potentially join them as well. But no, I think they'll be safe. I think they'll start kicking on. He's only had a week to get in the team and actually train with them. And beating Porto isn't easy, especially against a Jose Mourinho team. So he's doing something right. He just come against Bournemouth where they're in red hot form at the moment.
I think Jose Mourinho manages Benfica.
Oh, it's Porto, isn't it? Oh, Benfica. Mourinho's Benfica, isn't he?
To be fair, Porto was the one team I think apparently who had not conceded like a lot of goals, or have not lost. One of those two, either they're not conceded a lot of goals and have not lost.
No, you're right, because Mourinho was at Newcastle, wasn't he? Yeah, sorry. and be like,
Yeah.
yeah, correct. But even then, they're still a hard team to play against, regardless. So
I agree. I think with Forest though, they've got that first loss, and they're going to a very informed United side next week. So it's going to be a very difficult trip for them, I think, for when it comes.
See, this is the problem where like the script writers are against Man United here because what do you mean Dash's first home game he's gonna be against United? You know what I'm saying? So he might just tell them to shut up shop, like whatever. But fingers crossed we're gonna win. Quickly moving on, we're moving on to the current table leaders at the moment, Arsenal. 1-0 against Crystal Palace. It was always going to be a difficult game. Another set piece goal. And I'm going to come to you with this one, Rich. I think they've scored 9 set piece goals in the Premier League this season, which is crazy, and all that. So do you think we'll ever see a moment in time that Arsenal is going to start having that free-flowing, fluid football? Don't get me wrong. Like right now, it's getting results, top of the league. Any team would die to be top of the league at the moment and to be in their position where they're favourites. But do we need to see a bit more from Arsenal here?
absolutely, of course you do. Set pieces are great until they stop. They dry up and stop working. You can't solely rely on that because there are going to be games where they might come up against a Newcastle and be playing with people who are 6'4", 6'6", and who will match them in the air. They have to show more. They have to show more to win games. I get, yeah, they're winning at the moment, but ultimately they have to just be better in that in actual open play. It makes it more exciting for them, and I just think it's their style is to open play, isn't it? That's what they want to be. They want to be that open play team. But yeah, I just think they need more. I'm not really answering this question very well, am I? But yeah, that's what I think.
And Kush, what do you think? Because I've spoken to a lot of Arsenal fans, and some of them seem to say, "Oh, what do you expect? Like teams come against us, they set up a low block, they're defending and all that, so we have to kind of do the set pieces to win." Do you think it's as simple as that, or do you think they're just not good at breaking down teams?
I think if Arsenal have been for like the past couple of seasons have been that team to do the set pieces, and they're starting to get known to do set pieces, which is a very dangerous thing if you think about it, because once you are known for that team to do that certain thing, more teams will more likely set up against that. And if you look at Arsenal during the Crystal Palace game, they weren't really creating that much. I'm just looking at the stats. Yeah, if it's not normal for an Arsenal side to have 10 shots and only 3 on target. Gyökeres doesn't look too good. I mean, he's not even holding up play that well. That he's not getting the service. I feel with Arsenal, they're just trying to grind out results to get to this Premier League, and that can only get you so far, as Rich said. I think, as I said before, once a team knows what you're planning on doing, it's going to get very difficult, and yeah, soon it might dry up.
Yeah,
But props to them. I think, yeah, props to them for getting the results, but it won't work against all teams. But it's working somehow.
so let me ask both of you this. I'll start with Rich though. Do you think this is sustainable for the rest of the season? Because like I think personally, you keep grinding out these wins, it's gonna get to you at some point. Granted, maybe you have the squad to deal with it now, but the psychological toll and the physical toll it takes to keep grinding out wins like this and not be comfortable. A, it's going to affect you in the long run when you're trying to now sustain a challenge for the title. But B, it's not going to be sustainable in Europe because you're going to get teams who can just easily crack your code.
Like I said last week, I think grinding out results impacts you a lot. And having your plan, when your plan is working, it's fantastic. Everyone thinks you're the greatest person in the world. But as soon as plan A starts failing and you have no plan B, that's where people start questioning you. And right now, their plan is working, but ultimately it will stop. And they need a plan B, and I don't think they have one with that open play. And that's when I think their stickling point will come, because there's going to be a point where their crosses aren't working. They're going to have a few games where they're going to be off. And then I think they will get caught out. And whether they can still grind out results, possibly, but it's still yet to be seen.
Okay, Coach, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I think with grinding out results, especially against teams like Palace and Fulham and all that, it's going to lead to like injuries and everything piling up because they're just going to be fighting that extra hard to get that result. And if you look at some of the games, they don't actually have like a goal cushion. Apart from the Atletico game, they're in the Premier League, they haven't had a goal cushion once they've scored. It's just been relentless, and that will lead to fatigue. And you might see a drop off, but these are the small games are the ones that Arsenal struggled with the last season, and that's why they need to grind it out more.
Fair play. Quickly moving on then to Aston Villa versus Man City down in the Midlands there. Aston Villa with an incredible 1-0 win against City. And I'm going to start with you, Rich here. Do you think City are just one-dimensional? No Haaland scoring, nothing.
Yeah, I said last week, I believe, and I said without Haaland, if he's not scoring, they don't have a backup striker. Again, Mahmoud's when he's fit, but I don't believe he's fit at the moment. And it's proven this week. Villa played very well. They've come up some ridiculous form or something again clicked for them. But Haaland, if he's not scoring, there's no party at the end of the day. And again, there's no plan B. Again, plan A, Haaland, plan B, well, we'll just see what happens. And it's just not good enough. You can't do that. You have to have a football, as you know, a B, C, go through the alphabet if you have to do. And Man City looked like they would just come to stumbling block. However, I will say some of the goalkeeping display and the defensive display in that game were fantastic. Like Villa could have been 3-0 up, but then equally Man City could have gone 3-1 up easily. So kudos to the keepers and the defence for that, both teams in that game.
I was watching that game, and
I agree.
that's what in the most. And I have to give my props to Onana because he was everywhere. And he was literally blocking almost everything coming into the thing. So credit to Onana. Onana was fantastic in the game. Like, well-deserved man of the match performance. But coming to you, Rich, Villa looks like they have kind of turned a corner here. I mean, we were speaking at the beginning of the season, like maybe they had drunk fatigue from last season chasing Europe. And now they kind of look like they're coming back into it. They're kind of finding their rhythm again.
Yeah, again, I think it's to do with the international break. I think a lot of players got that confidence. It's, Morgan Rogers, as I said, that goal, I think he's had that belief back in him. And the international break, it just worked for them again. And they're now getting results. Momentum's taking them forward. And Onana, I think, has been injured for quite a while. Now he's back in. He's picked up the midfield and taken the pressure off some of the other players, which which is now getting the best out of them. And then you've also got players like Matty Cash, who's at the moment playing fantastic out of his skin. And Buendia coming back. I think he's injured again now, but I still think he's a championship player. But he's having a bit of an impact with them as well. Again, just where they have what West Ham don't have. They have the players who go, right, we're in sticky situations. Let's brush off our shoulders and let's start playing well. And I think that's what they're doing.
Kush, what do you see the future for the two clubs? Like, what do you see what's wrong with Man City, and what can Man City do, and where they're gonna go? What's the Villa like?
If you looked at that game with Man City, normally they would have like Nico Gonzalez or Rodri in the sixth role, but they had Tijani Reinders there, a player that's not known to be playing in that role. And if you looked at him during that game, there were so many gaps in that midfield that allowed Aston Villa to run through and cause havoc in that game. And it was unfortunate that they hadn't scored more goals in that sense. But it was I feel it was a bit of a tactical error by Pep because on his bench he did have 3 sixes. He had Nico Gonzalez, Rico Lewis, and give me 1 second. And what's his name? And Kovacic, who all can play that role and hold that midfield, but he didn't. He played Tijani Reinders there, who's not known to be doing that role, and that's what led to a lot of problems for Man City. In terms of Villa, you can't take away from the fact that they played phenomenally in that game, and I think Emery set up his team really well. overall, I think the result was fair. I think Villa deserved to take the win in that game. But you can never count out Man City. I think they're going to bounce back next week. But as Rich said, if Haaland doesn't score, they don't actually have anything going forward.
Fair. Yeah, I totally agree. And a bit more one-dimensional. And like you're saying, the Randers thing I saw, like when I think Gonzalez came on and then pushed Randers a bit further, he was actually manipulating a little bit more space. So I do not know why Pep is doing that, but experimental phase, I guess. Next, Wolves Burnley. Kush, why don't you kick us off with this one? Was Burnley just that good?
No. You're gonna have to. No. You have to kick us off with this one, brother. This is your team, brother.
You know what? I'll say this. I'll say
What are
this.
your thoughts?
What I'll say is this, man. Like it's quite sad to see. Because to be fair, the players, you can tell they're actually fighting for the badge. They're fighting for the manager and all that. The passion is there. They were home. They were trying. They were 2-0 down, but then they came back, rallied up and all that. Fighting. Like it was legitimately a fight. That this game was a huge fight. And after the game, like you saw the fans interacting with the players. In particular, I think I saw a clip of Jose Sarr with some of the players outside Molineux, and Jose was saying, "Listen, what can I do? I was on the bench. I'm not talking to my wife when I get home because I'm actually distraught about the results and where we are." And it's easy to forget that football is a human being at the time, especially if it's your club involved. Because like I've talked crap about United players sometimes when I feel like they're not performing. You know what I mean? So it's easy to forget that they're actual real people with real emotions as well, because like it does affect them. And I love the Wolves man, like he's you can tell he's technically sound. You know, it's just not pulling well for him. And unfortunately, I think it's at a point where if it doesn't work, you might have to go. Even though I still think he's a good manager. Like you guys were saying, Rodgers is back on the market. It might be worth Wolves just going to Rodgers and say, listen, we've got a team here, set us up. I don't know. But Burnley are playing well. What do you think, Kush, with Burnley?
Burnley is that team where you don't know what you're going to get every week. But if you look at Burnley, they don't stop fighting. Which is, I don't know if you've noticed that they don't stop fighting every single game, despite the result. They don't stop. They will continue coming at you, and that's what they did to Wolves. I think Wolves were lucky-ish to come back into the game. I didn't think they were tactically sound during the game. I think there was a lot of gaps that Burnley were able to run through, and that's ultimately what happened for the third goal. And you can see that Vitor Pereira was distraught at the end. Like, how are you letting that through? But you can't take away from the finish. The finish was very, very nice. But yeah, it's just Burnley are that team that will just continue coming at you at this point. I think that's credit to Scott Parker, where they won't stop believing. With Wolves, they've got rid of key players and they haven't brought anyone in. That's the case. And I think, for example, with Mateus Cunha, I think he saw a sinking ship and he didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And he's a boyhood Man United fan, but I think also he saw that sinking ship. It's a shame that a team like Wolves are in a state that they're in, and I do think they're going to get relegated this season. I don't know if you've noticed, in Premier League history, there's only been 3 teams that have lost their first 9, haven't won in their first 9 games. The third team is Wolves, and that is a shocking stat to have. And I don't see things getting any brighter in the future. And when during the game, the Wolves fans were saying, "You're not fit to wear the shirt," so it shows a lot of how the club is at the moment, and I do feel that they're in a lot of trouble.
Fair, I hear you on that. Moving on quickly to Everton and Spurs as well, Rich. Spurs being Spurs again. I think the scoreline slightly flatters Spurs a little bit because watching the game actually, I mean, just 2 set pieces and then the final one, which Alisson did well to actually hit it back into the danger area and Saar scored. But what do Spurs need to do to actually have the consistency?
I think it. I don't know with Spurs. They're always going to be Spursy, aren't they? Like let's be honest. They're going to win games they shouldn't win and lose games they should be winning. A mentality with the squad again, big thing. Mentality is a huge thing, and Thomas Frank's first season. I think he's getting out the players, but I think ultimately they just. I think they're still struggling with dimension and where they're going forward. And especially got all new players coming in, and they still got players to come back in yet. But that's what I would say. They are just they need. I think I don't know. I think it might be the players actually. They're just not consistent enough. They're good players, but I just think they're so up and down. It's just ridiculous. Like unless Van der Ven is always going to get you 8, 9 out of 10 for him. But then you got the strikers. They haven't got forward. They don't really know who's playing up top half the time. Kudos, he left us for them. He's looking good, but then they haven't got any backups. And I just think the whole squad is getting there, but they just need that something to fight for. I don't think they have anything to fight for yet.
Yeah. I think with the striker thing, though, I think he was managing Richarlison's minutes because I think he had a slight knock and then coming back from international duty and all that. But who knows? Like, shout out to him because, like, on the third goal, they just crossed to him. He was able to put it back and Saar scored. But Kush, Everton unlucky in this game, or is it just like what do you think? What do you think Everton needs just to kick on again, or were they just like just unfortunate they came up against a good Spurs on the day?
I feel it was Everton. They were just very unfortunate. They came against a Spurs side that, as I said before, Spurs are very inconsistent, but they caught Spurs on a good day, and Spurs did score their goals. I think their first 2 goals were like set pieces or errors. They just capitalized on it. I don't think Spurs were overly good. I didn't think they were overly bad. I think Everton. I think Spurs actually set up tactically to stop like players like Jack Grealish from getting into the game, even though he tried to, but he wasn't able to get the service to Beto. Overall, I just don't know what to say. I think Everton were unlucky to not get a goal, and the scoreline flatters. I think I don't think Spurs played too well. I don't think Everton played too well.
Fair. And where do you both kind of see Spurs finishing the season when it comes to the final table? I mean, right now, I think at the moment they are third. Do you think they can sustain it? Do you think other teams will get there right, for.
Yeah, drop off. I think they're placing 9th, 8th or 9th.
I could see them coming 7th, getting the Conference League spot.
Fair. Yeah, I think I see them 6th. I think once they get that regularity going, maybe. But Spurs might just be Spurs again. But yeah, that's it. And I think now we'll just quickly do quick hits for the predictions of this next round of matches, and we should be good. So I'm going to start with the 3 p.m. kickoff again, Brighton and Leeds. Rich, who do you think is going to win that one?
Is it who's at home? Is it Brighton at home? Is it? I think Brighton. Yeah. Brighton 2-1.
Chris?
I agree. Brighton 2-1.
Yeah, it's hard to look past Brighton. I think it's going to be 3-1 probably. Moving on, Turf Moor, Burnley versus Arsenal. Kush?
Grind FC. You know what? I'm going to say 0-0. I don't think Burnley are that team that can be set up solidly with their defense. So 0-0 or 0-0. I'm going to go 0-0.
Rich?
I got 3-0 Arsenal. I think they'll turn them over.
Yeah, same. I see it happening. I'm thinking more 2-1, 3-1. Kind of, I think Burnley will get some goal there. And then this one will be a good one as well. It's going to be Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Crystal Palace at home. Rich, what do you think is going to look out?
Draw. I think it would be a total draw.
Fair.
I'm going to say 1-1.
Fair. I think it's going to be a goal fest. I think it's going to be 3-2, but to Crystal Palace. I think they're the one. They need a response now, and I think Mateta will be back to bullying defenders who he can overly turn over again. So, yeah, I'll go Palace. So they need this win. Fulham versus Wolves. I see this as a 1-0 win to Fulham. I don't know about you, Rich.
I'm going to get against the grain. I'm going to say a Wolves 1-0. I'm going to go for it. Yeah, Wolves 1-0 for me.
You don't need to make Josh feel better.
I'm optimistic. I'm a glass half full sort of guy. Yeah, 1-0. 1-0 Wolves.
2-0 Fulham.
Yeah,
Fulham
fair.
are that club. I've said it last week. They're that club. They're that club that is very hard to break down. And Wolves don't look like they're able to attack. So 2-0 Fulham.
Fair play. All right, Kush, you kick us off with this one. The mighty Matchday Reds are going to be playing against Nottingham Forest.
3-0 United.
2-1 United. I'm going to say 2-0 Spurs. Yeah, 2-0 Spurs for me.
It's again with this fixture. It's like it really depends on what team shows up. Because like if Chelsea show up, then it'll be like I'll say it's like 3-2 Chelsea. But if Tottenham show up or Chelsea doesn't, I would say it's like 2-1 Spurs. So I'm gonna go 2-1 Spurs. Oh, technical difficulties.
Oh, yeah, I think he's gone.
And he's gone.
Yeah, is it?
I guess we're taking over.
Yeah, let's do it.
Liverpool Villa. What do you think?
Oh,
Liverpool Villa.
2-1 Villa.
Oh yeah, I would say 1-0 Villa. I don't think Liverpool. I think Liverpool are just that don't have the confidence to do it at the moment.
No, I agree. I think the Villa just edge them. I think Liverpool, like you said, no confidence and just can't score. And I think that would be a downfall.
Yeah. Next game, big next game. West Ham and Newcastle.
2-0 loss for West Ham. I think Newcastle would just that set pieces would destroy us.
Yeah. I want to be optimistic. Well, I just can't be optimistic. I'm going to say 2-0 Newcastle. Is there a Monday fixture? There is. Okay. Sunday, the last fixture on Sunday, Man City, Bournemouth.
Oh. 2-2. I'm a 2-2 draw.
Again, it's like it's just like City's like what City will show up.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say 1-0 Bournemouth.
Yeah, going for it.
I'm gonna throw it out there. And then Monday Fun Day, Sunderland Everton. That is going to be a cracker, I think.
Sunderland 3-1. I reckon. If it's cinema light, Sunderland all day.
I think 2-1 Sunderland.
Yeah.
Yeah. I because they're just that good of a form. I think it's going to be one of those where they're going to do amazing. But yeah, unfortunately, Josh ain't here to end the podcast.
I am here.
You're left with. Oh, he's here.
He's here.
But no picture. He's here. But we've gone through the fixtures for the weekend.
I think what happened is when he started speaking about Wolves losing, my internet just lost,
That's fair enough.
I think we've gone through it all tonight, and I hope you all have a lovely week and weekend. Hope your team wins. May the odds be in your favour.
Ciao, ciao.